Shalom. I always find it interesting that the book of Deuteronomy is begun in the synagogue on the Shabbat before Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is the saddest day of the Jewish year. The Jews mourn over the loss of the first temple in 586 BCE and the second temple in 70 CE, plus lots of other terrible events that happened on that day, including the expulsion of Jews from England in 1290, expulsion of Jews from Spain in 1492, the fall of Beitar and the rebellion against Rome in 135. Lots of terrible things. And the link to the Bible on that day is that that's the day that the spies came back with the report that they felt that the children of Israel could not inherit the promised land. And God said, well, then you're going to spend 40 years wandering in the desert until you all die off, except for the two of the spies that came back with a good report. So we have this very sad day. We observe it by fasting and mourning. But what does the Torah reading have to do with it? And what is the message of that Torah reading of Parshat Dvarim? Well, here's basically the beginning of the structure. It says there that God said that in the 39th year and 11th month of the journey in the desert, you've stood long enough on this mountain, and now go move, go take possession of the promised land. The book of Deuteronomy is set in the guise of Moses' final speeches to the children of Israel, and he's kind of summarizing everything that took place. So God said, get off this mountain and go do it, right when we got out of Egypt. But we said, no, let's get some spies to go spy out the land to let us know. And God had already promised them that they would conquer the land, but the spies came back with a report that it was too terrifying, and the people didn't have faith, the Torah says, and they said they wanted to go back to Egypt. So God said, obviously this people's not ready to be free people in the promised land, so you're going to have to wander in 40 years in the desert. Now, it's a very short journey from Egypt to Israel, straight walking. Certainly doesn't take 40 years. It takes 2 weeks maybe, 11 days, but they took 40 years because of their lack of faith. And then again, God said, go take possession of the land. But they couldn't do it. They didn't do it. They never were able to have the energy and the courage to get off. There's a Protestant preacher named Joel Osteen who's very famous, who has a chapter in one of his books where he talks about this verse, get off the mountain. And there he talks about Roger Bannister. Now, Roger Bannister is very famous because until Roger Bannister, it was commonly accepted in the world that nobody could run a 4-minute mile. It was virtually impossible. It was just simply impossible for the human body to do that. But Roger Bannister didn't pay attention to that, and he ran a 4-minute mile, under 4 minutes. And in the decade following Roger Bannister doing that, 336 people did it. So clearly the problem was not with the body, it was with the mind. And what's interesting in the Torah portion, it says that in addition to all of these other issues, Moses says to God, I can't bear this people alone. In fact, he introduces that with the word Echa, which is interestingly the name of the book that we chant on Tisha B'Av, and it's also a word that occurs in the Haftorah of Shabbat Chazon, the Shabbat before Tisha B'Av, Chazon Yeshayahu. Echa, how can I do this? And God says to Moses' complaint that he can't simply he can't address all of the needs of all of the people. He says, well then pick people, men, who have Chachma, wisdom, Bina, understanding, and Deya, discernment. That it's in the mind. You need to be people with the right mindset, who are balanced and sober and have the proper knowledge and his history and have the ability to process information properly to be in that position. So it's clearly an issue of the mind. By the way, a little joke about Moses saying he couldn't handle all the people. Supposedly there was a story where President Lyndon Johnson was meeting with the Prime Minister of Israel, Yitzhak Shamir. I think it was Shamir. And he said, I've got the big problem here of being president of 200 million people. And Shamir says, they think that's a problem? You may be president of 200 million people, but I'm the prime minister of 2 million prime ministers. That's a much tougher job. In any case, so God says, you can do this. Pick guys who have Chachma, Bina, and Deya. It's an issue of the mind. And Roger Bannister did not let people saying you can't do it stop him from doing it, breaking the 4-minute mile. I just read in a magazine this week another interesting story. Who is the most popular sports figure in the world? Well, Americans, of course, would say Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan because we think everything's American. But in the world, actually, David Beckham, the soccer star, is the most popular athlete in the world. And in an interview in a magazine, Beckham said that he was told when he was 13, you'll never play for England, you're not good enough, you're too small. David Beckham, who becomes the world's most famous soccer star, was told he couldn't do it. And that's so much a part of this Torah portion of God saying to Moses, tell the children of Israel, get off this mountain and go do it. It's like what's Nike's sports slogan? Just do it. How many times do we are self-satisfied in life with a bad situation. Our marriage isn't working out, but there's nothing we can do about it. Our job isn't working out, nothing we can do about it. Our relation with our kids is strained, nothing we can do about it. Our health isn't good, nothing we can do about it. And the message of right before Tisha B'Av is, get off that mountain and go do it. Now, the 3 weeks leading up to Tisha B'Av is a very sad time in the Jewish calendar. But you know what? We have this seed of positive. In fact, the Talmud says that the Messiah is born on Tisha B'Av. And this Torah reading has a seed of the answer, which is, you didn't have faith and that caused your problems. Have faith in God. It says in the Torah portion of Deuteronomy, don't be afraid and don't be in dread. Have faith, be positive, get off the mountain, and go take possession of the land. Go do it. Fix the problems in your life. Be positive. Be energized. And then for the Shabbat immediately following Tisha B'Av, the saddest day of the year, we have Isaiah chapter 40 saying, be comforted, my people, in our prophetic reading. And so, get off the mountain. Even in the saddest day of the year, we have the seed of a better future for ourselves and our world. Go do it. Be energized. Be positive. Fix the issues. Fix the problems as best you can. Don't be afraid. Don't be dismayed.